The conflict between Iran and Israel has catapulted into a full-blown crisis since the April 2024 bombing of an Iranian consulate complex in Damascus. This single violent event ignited a series of retaliatory strikes, changing the landscape of Middle Eastern geopolitics. On April 13th, Iran unleashed drone and missile attacks on Israel, marking the beginning of a tit-for-tat exchange that has yet to diffuse. With every strike, the region teeters on the edge, a precarious balance of power defined by mistrust and vengeance. Fast forward to October 2024, the toll of war has become all too evident. 3 hospitals in Lebanon have halted operations, overrun by the persistent bombardment, while Gaza mourns the loss of 29 lives, caught in the crossfire of escalating military actions. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, have reportedly targeted and eliminated high-ranking officials within Hezbollah and Hamas, deepening the chasm between the nations. Yet, the repercussions extend beyond these borders, reaching countries like India, which is closely monitoring the volatile crude oil markets amidst the chaos. Recent developments underscore the persistent volatility in the region. Israel's tactical ground operation in southern Lebanon on September 30th remains shrouded in ambiguity. Reports are conflicting about whether large Israeli forces have truly penetrated the region. Yet Hezbollah's countermeasures reveal a heightened state of military readiness. Al-Mayadeen's reports of cross-border attacks foreshadow a potential crescendo in violence, as both factions prepare for an inevitable clash. Meanwhile, the IDF continues its air campaign, targeting Hezbollah's arsenal in a bid to weaken opposition capabilities, careful to cripple the group without triggering further Iranian involvement. In the chaotic backdrop, Iran's role is both crucial and limited. The country seems restrained from directly impacting the ongoing conflict significantly, yet possesses an arsenal of strategic retaliatory measures against U.S. and Israeli interests. While October 1st saw Iran launch a missile strike on Israel, such actions seem to be part of a broader strategy, rather than a direct involvement, creating a web of threats that loom large. The future remains uncertain, as these nations grapple with the pressures of a conflict that refuses to fade, redefining alliances and hostilities in the Middle East. There have been no reports of any attacks on Israel by Iran in October 2024. However, there have been tensions between the two countries, with Israel launching airstrikes on Iranian targets in Syria and Iran retaliating with missile strikes on Israel. The most recent incident occurred on October 1st, 2024, when Iran launched a missile attack on Israel, which was followed by an Israeli airstrike on an Iranian target in Syria. Tensions between the two countries remain high, with both sides threatening further action. Iran's missile attack on Israel. Iran launched a missile attack on Israel on October 1st, 2024. The attack was carried out in response to Israeli airstrikes on Iranian targets in Syria. The missiles launched by Iran were able to penetrate Israeli air defenses, causing minor damage to several locations in central Israel. Israeli retaliation. Israel retaliated with an airstrike on an Iranian target in Syria. The airstrike was carried out by the Israeli Air Force and targeted an Iranian military facility. The facility was believed to be used by Iranian forces to launch attacks on Israel. Escalation fears. The exchange of fire between Israel and Iran has raised fears of a wider conflict in the region. Both sides have threatened further action, with Iran vowing to launch more missile attacks on Israel if it is targeted again. Israel has also threatened to take further action against Iran, including targeting its nuclear facilities. Israel reacted to Iran's attack on October 1, 2024, by retaliating with an airstrike on an Iranian target in Syria. The exchange of fire between Israel and Iran has raised fears of a wider conflict in the region. Both sides have threatened further action, with Iran vowing to launch more missile attacks on Israel if it is targeted again. Israel has also threatened to take further action against Iran, including targeting its nuclear facilities. The U.S. has also condemned Iran's actions and has offered support to Israel. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran has raised concerns about the potential for escalation and the involvement of other countries, which could potentially lead to a wider conflict or even a global conflict like World War III. However, it's important to note that the current situation is complex and fluid, and the likelihood of escalation to a global conflict is difficult to predict. Several factors contribute to the tensions between Israel and Iran, including political, religious, and territorial disputes. The recent exchange.
The Israel-Iran war has drawn significant international attention, and India, with its diverse geopolitical stance, possesses a distinctive viewpoint on the matter. Nestled among historical ties with both nations, India adeptly maneuvers through the complexities posed by the conflict, fostering a deep commitment to diplomatic engagement and regional stability. India's relationship with Israel has been steadily evolving, marked by burgeoning defense ties and strategic cooperation. The nation recognizes Israel's significance in areas such as technology and security, particularly regarding regional threats. This evolving alliance reflects India's preference for a pragmatic approach that prioritizes national interests while striving to maintain its standing as a neutral party in the Middle East. Conversely, India has maintained long-standing ties with Iran, viewing it as a critical partner for energy security and regional influence. The country appreciates Iran's historical and cultural significance in South Asia and engages in various multilateral platforms with it. India genuinely seeks to balance these two relationships, navigating the nuanced terrain of diplomatic discourse in the context of an ever-changing regional landscape. As tensions escalate in the Israel-Iran conflict, India's response is one of cautious observation, advocating for dialogue and peaceful resolution. The Indian government often calls for restraint from both sides, emphasizing the need to address underlying grievances through negotiations rather than conflict. This consistent stance stems from India's broader commitment to peace and stability, resonating with its own experiences of managing tensions within diverse communities. Moreover, the ramifications of the Israel-Iran conflict cast a shadow on broader security in the region, affecting India's strategic calculus. An escalation in hostilities could disrupt critical trade routes, including the energy, trade, and economic lifelines that India relies upon. Thus, India advocates for a multilateral approach that facilitates understanding and cooperation among regional players, recognizing that peace is essential for sustainable development. Ultimately, India's perspective hinges on maintaining harmonious relations while promoting peace. While it cherishes its partnerships with both Israel and Iran, it zealously champions diplomacy as a means to resolve long-standing conflicts. This delicate balancing act showcases India's approach to foreign policy, one that underscores stability, pragmatism, and an unwavering commitment to peace amidst the turbulent tides of conflict.